This is the 7th process of project time management, where we are talking about monitoring and controlling the project schedule. In initial 6 processes, our focus was planning, and the final process of that planning process group, the develop schedule, gave us a project schedule. Now in this process, we focus on controlling, monitoring the schedule. In order to control and monitoring schedule, we need 3 types of input. The first input tells us what is our baseline. The second input talks about what is our current plan. The third input talks about what is our status, means which all activities are done or completed till what extent. And in order to bind all these 3 together and recommendation from previous projects and lesson learned and templates come from organization process assets. Now from where we get the baseline project schedule? We get it from project management plan. The developed project gave us a baseline schedule which went inside the project management plan. The current plan, the current plan comes from project schedule. So project schedule as well as baseline project schedule are an instance of schedule model. The baseline schedule is a one reference point against which we would be monitoring our project performance throughout the project duration. Project schedule, project calendar, and schedule data. So these 3 inputs represent the current plan, because project schedule is a current schedule, project calendar talks about the distribution of resources inside the project against the time frame. Schedule data has a data to substantiate project schedule and project calendar information. The status of activities performed comes from work, performance, data. Now this is coming from execution process group, and as the activities are getting finished or as the progress against the activities is marked, we get this information in our this particular control schedule process. Now we have these inputs and we need to apply tools and technique so we can identify the performance information of our work. Now the first tool and technique which we apply for identifying the performance of our schedule is performance review. Now we can use various techniques to do this performance review. We can use trend analysis, we can use critical path analysis, critical path method, we can use critical chain method, or we can use earned value management. So any of these 3 techniques or the combination of these 3 techniques need to be used in order to identify performance review. Why? Because we need to identify that if our schedule is going in this way, how do we expect our project to behave in a coming time. So we do a trend analysis. We see the historical information of our project schedule and try to project or try to predict that how things are expected to be moved. By looking at a critical path or a critical chain method, we can identify the performance of the activities which are on the critical path or on the critical chain, because delaying those activities reflects the delay of the complete project schedule. So we can look at that which are the activities has a possibility of crashing or fast tracking. And earned value management is a tool which helps us in monitoring schedule performance by way of schedule performance information and by way of schedule variance calculation, and that also helps us in projecting the schedule and the date or a schedule performance in a near future. Now, in order to do this, we need to use project management software. So the second tool and technique is use a project management software, because this requires a good amount of data calculation, because you saw that the project schedule, the developed schedule, the output of developed schedule is already having a good amount of data, and in order to manage and control the complete schedule, we may need to use some project management software which can help us in doing these things in a better way. Now, the way we were doing in a developed schedule, here also we need to look into the tools and techniques which we have used in developed schedule, like resource optimization technique. Now, the two techniques which we discussed in developed schedule are still valid and relevant for control schedule as well. One was resource leveling and another was resource smoothing. So both are relevant in this particular case also. We also use modeling techniques by which we do an alternative analysis or a what if analysis, or we do a simulation. Why we are doing all this? Because we want to project the new schedule based on the current execution. So we may use modeling technique. We also use lead and lag, which we have used in our previous process. We also use lead and lag. We also use schedule compression technique like fast tracking and caching. So we use schedule compression technique. On top of it, we may also use some scheduling tools. So the difference between project management system and scheduling tools is the scheduling tools are specifically the special tools which facilitates us in doing the schedule monitoring and schedule forecasting. Now we got the raw data, we saw the tool and technique. Now we need to know the work performance information, because we got the work performance data, we applied these tools and technique, and we produce the control schedule process produces an output of work performance information. Now the work performance information like schedule variance or schedule performance index are work performance information, because they convert the raw data into a index which helps us in identifying the progress of or the status of our current project execution. The control schedule also gives us forecasting for a schedule, so it provides us schedule forecast. Now, based on the trend, based on the work performance data, we project that how we expect our schedule to perform in a near-term future. Since it's a monitoring and control process, and all monitoring and control process expected to generate change request. So this process also generates change request, and here the change request would be more focused towards schedule related things. For example, if you want to change a particular resource, that type of change request is expected to come from a process control schedule. Or if you want to fast track particular activity, so those kind of changes, because it was not planned that way in a baseline schedule, comes from control schedule process. So we generate change request. Now the fourth output of control schedule process is update in project management plan. So update project management plan. So we have seen 4 outputs. Now, what type of things can update in a project management plan? We may have an update in a schedule baseline. We may also identify some changes which we want to do in our schedule management plan. We may also identify some changes which may affect the approved change requests, may affect the cost baseline. So these kind of updates can happen in project management plan. Some of the project documents may get updated. Example like risks. Some activity may get updated with the information of new constraints, new recommendations. So activity list, etc. So some of the project documents may get updated, and we may also update organization process asset. Now, since it's a controlling process, it takes input organization process asset, but it also can update organization process assets based on the lessons which we learned during while doing or while controlling the project schedule.